And how many times a day do you think you doodle?
Every time I'm in class, and sometimes whenever I'm at home and I'm just doing homework, I'll stop and I'll keep a page on the side for doodling.
I would not call myself a doodler. I can't really draw. I've never been able to draw. So I never got into doodling.
Do you doodle?
I used to back in high school, and I stopped doing it.
Yes, in fact, I would consider myself one who doodles.
Are you kind of jealous of the doodling abilities?
A little bit, yeah.
I only doodle during lectures, or if your girlfriend's babbling on about something and you're like, this is so uninteresting, so you just draw something on a napkin.
Actually, I was commenting on that today in class because we were watching this terrible movie and everybody around me was doodling, but I wasn't.
It's it's kind of the same things that run through your head whenever you're going for a run. It's just you start off with things that are going through the day, your checklist for the day, and then there's always a list of things you start wondering about in your mind whenever you have quiet time, and it's just kind of like a stress reliever, I guess, mentally.
I didn't pay attention at all, and now that I go to an art school, I don't really have much reason to doodle.
When I doodle in film class, sometimes I'll just start drawing something random, and then all of a sudden I'll realize it'll make me think of something I can use for a film.
Not by boredom. I mean, you could say that. My doodling is provoked by boredom, yes, but mostly my doodling comes from, it's a way for me to concentrate and think, as if a kid with ADD, the same way a kid with ADD chews gum to focus in class is the same way that I doodle as I listen to a lecture or something.
I think doodling is sporadic, but sometimes people have to know what they're going to draw before they draw it.
If I'm going to doodle, it's just going to be, have fun with it.
I would call it mindless drawing.
It's not writing. It's not. Yeah, it's more like a drawing. A sporadic drawing.
Scribbling sounds more like a writing term, whereas doodling sounds more like a drawing term.
Scribbling to me is kind of coloring. You're if you're there's the lines on the paper and you're scribbling one line, or just making weird symbols and stuff. I consider that scribbling.
The difference between doodling and scribbling is that, in my opinion, doodling is mindless drawing, whereas scribbling I associate with words.
Yeah, I'd say scribbling, I don't think I've ever really scribbled. It's pointless to me. If I scribble, it's just to see if a pen would work, but...
Since I don't really doodle, the most you'll get from me is probably scribbling something.
There's a few studies that have shown doodling helps your memory. Could you see, or would you agree that?
I could definitely agree to that, because whenever I doodle and there's an emotion tied to it and I'm drawing something, having that mechanical stimulus along with remembering things and then drawing along with it, it kind of, I don't know, it's so I've heard studies like that too, when you have something that you're physically doing along with stuff that you're thinking, it makes it bigger of an imprint.
We had one English class I had in middle school. They would have us, when we had terms for spelling or definition, they would have us draw little pictures next to it to memorize it. So we had to make a little doodle for every word so we could memorize its definition.
Doodling can help the memory by associating words with pictures.
Would you say doodling is personal?
I'd say doodling, it can be personal. Sometimes maybe people just doodle just to draw, but somewhere when you're quiet and you're drawing, you're always thinking of something, and that's going to affect the way your pencil moves. So I think that there's always something there.
If it's good doodling, whereas it looks like a actually good drawing, then you know that they're probably really skilled. But if it's doodling boobs or random lines and abstract art, then that's a completely different person. You could definitely see by watching someone else doodle, you can see how their mind really works. I do not. Doodling is not surrealism. Surrealism, there's a fat line between doodleism and surrealism.
And do you think doodling could be considered surrealism?
Yeah, because drawing with your mind's eye is like dreaming when you're awake, and it's just like another way of expressing your thoughts.
I think it depends on what you're doodling, because if you have a set thing like, I'm going to doodle a cat, then you make a cat, and everyone knows what it is, but surrealism is, it still applies to what's surreal and what's real.
Surrealism is everything about it is open-minded. So that's probably true.
Do you think someone could become a famous
No.
doodler?
Sorry. No one can become a famous doodler because doodling is not an art form as more of it's a passing of time.
Yankee Doodle came to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, and called it macaroni.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony,